Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Fat Loss in 15 series. Okay, so a few things we're going to cover today. Going to follow that usual structure. Normally we prefer personal, professional, fat loss, but today I'm actually going to talk about professional and then personal and then fat loss, just in a slightly different order today. And I think the reason I was going to do that is not actually relevant now, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I was writing out my emails. So I always send out 3 weekly emails to our VIP list. And what I've been trying to do is do a wee bit more storytelling, talk through my struggles, the impacts, the obstacles we've had to overcome to get Club 300 to be where it is today. And on last Monday, I wrote about our Fat Loss Masterclass, which was my free live webinar that I was taking live, giving you the exact steps that we use with our clients to help them lose 20 pounds in the next 90 days. And it was a flop. I mean, it didn't work, but after that, that's not the point of this story I'm going to tell. It got me thinking about what other struggles did I face, and there was one biggie that really popped to mind. So I wrote that email this morning, and it is going out on Wednesday, which would have been last Wednesday from when you're watching this. And this was the 10k lesson that I will never forget. So this was 2021, round about April time. And we were meant to open in March 2020. Obviously, COVID happened. And I had been saving up for about 2 years, pretty much every spare penny I had to get this gym open. It was very expensive to open, a lot of money up front to open a gym. And then COVID struck. And my income went from, because I was a complete face-to-face PT, no online coaching altogether, because I really don't like it. I'm not good at it. And when I'm not good at something, I don't like doing it. I'm not going to provide a great service, so I didn't even try, because it wouldn't be fair in my eyes to charge for it. So my income went from pretty decent to absolutely nothing for about 18 months, because the gyms were closed almost 2 years, and I had just spent all this. I'd literally just made a big down payment on the equipment, on the location, on all sorts of different things, solicitors, surveyors, contractors, just put loads of money down, and then suddenly COVID struck, and I was like, well, this was stressful. And so I didn't really earn money for quite a while. Then we kept getting delayed, and then eventually we got a date to open on, I think it was May 26th or something like that, 2021. But again, we weren't even allowed inside. We have to take all the equipment outside and do it in the car park. But what happened is I had some construction work that was needing done for the downstairs gym, and I got these contractors in. They came in, they did it all, they charged a great price, they did the work. They were maybe a wee bit slow, but that's to be expected. And then the last thing that was needing done before the gym opened was we needed the old bathrooms in the building converted into the shower rooms. So I paid for them to do the work downstairs. That was all paid off. And they went upstairs, they stripped it all out. And the owner was like, oh, can you give me the money for the materials and the money to pay the guys, and we'll come back and we'll get that work done. So I'd never done anything like this. Very naive at the time. I'd had no reason not to trust them. They'd already done all this work for me. So I transferred them over the $5,000. Didn't really think much about it. They packed up all their stuff and they left. And then they never came back. They never answered my phone calls. They never replied to my messages. They ignored all my emails. They just, gone. Like a breath in the wind. And so there was 5k just gone like that. But I was still waiting for them to come back, so I didn't think about it. I thought maybe they just got delayed, they'd got on well. Fast forward 10 days. I come down to the gym, and I painted the whole gym by myself to try and save money. 5,000 square feet, and had to do about 4 coats in every single wall. It took forever. Like 12 weeks of painting. So I was coming down just to finish off the painting, and we've got a roller shutter down at the back end of the gym. And I get into the gym on the Sunday morning, and it's been bust open. Somebody had come in the night, smashed open the roller shutter. Not only had they broken that, they had then stolen about $3,000 worth of equipment. So that was a nice wee kick in the gut as well. So not only did I have to repair the damages, I then had to replace the equipment out of my own pocket. So all in all, in that 10 days, I had about 10 grand stolen from me, which I never got back. Because it was a split between theft buildings insurance, contents insurance. The excess was so high that the insurance companies actually told me that it wasn't worth claiming because it would cost me more money in the long run. So, insurance for you. So I had to fork it out of my own pocket. And that is a lesson that I will never forget. And that just taught me a lot about resilience. I could have so easily just chucked in the towel. I remember just standing there thinking, what is going to happen next? And it just felt like I was just taking kick after kick after kick. But then a few weeks go by, and I'll never forget this, the day that the memberships went live. And I went up to one of my best mates' house, Ralston. It was me and one of my best mates, Ralston and Kelso. And we were watching the Masters up in Scott's or Ralston's wee bar in his living room. And the memberships went live. I send out the email and then they just start rolling in 10 memberships, 20 memberships, 40 memberships, 80 memberships, 160 memberships pretty much right off the bat. And that made it all worth it. And then from then, yes, there's been other struggles. We got so fully booked that we couldn't physically take any more revenue in. We couldn't physically take in any more members, so we had to pivot. We completely changed the business model. And that in itself was scary because you don't want to disappoint your current customers, but we couldn't serve them the way we wanted to. And we had to completely shift our identity in what we did. And that came with its own set of struggles. But it worked. And we've now been 2 years down the line. So, and it's just the power of perseverance and the power of resilience of just keeping going through all the dips, all the struggles. And I think social media makes it worse because all you see is the highlights. All you see is the wins that people are going through, and it forces you to think that you're the only person going through these struggles, which you're not. People just hide them. So that's why I'm trying to get that out there. So if you're struggling right now and you're not seeing the progress that you would like to see, just know that this too shall pass, and you can, if you just keep at it, you keep persevering, you will get through the other side. Okay, so that is the professional part of it, which is kind of a bit personal. So I'm going to keep the personal one nice and short today. And as you can see, well, for those of you watching on YouTube rather than the podcast, the office is getting a bit of a revamp right now. And this kind of ties in with one of the pillars of Club 300 coaching, and that is the environment. So anytime when I was working from home during COVID, or even when I'm working in the flat, you always want a nice environment to be in. So when I'm at home, I make sure the desk is nice and clean. I've got all the distractions gone. I've got, quite often, stick on a wee incense stick. I love it. I love the smell. I love just like the ambience it provides. And I'll stick on some chill lo-fi music. I'll stick my headphones in. I'll stick a timer on, phone on, do not disturb, and then just get to work. But here in the office, I was in a horrible, just pure white room. It's quite a big room as well. Quite often we just dump stuff here if we need storage away from the gym, and it was just getting cluttered, it was just getting messy, and it was just becoming distracting. So Lucy decided, I don't know if you just saw her pop her head in there, that we needed to make the office environment much nicer. So that is something that we're working on right now. We got it painted well, I didn't paint it, Lucy painted it over the weekend. We've got new desks coming, we've got new chairs coming, we've painted it, I think maybe one more coat of paint. We're going to get some nice prints, we're going to get some nice plants, we're going to get a nice diffuser or maybe some incense sticks because I love that, and just make it a nice environment to work in. And that ties in with what we are trying to do with Club 200 Coaching. We have a nice, bright, airy space gym. We have a good environment. We've got welcoming coaches. We've got a friendly team. We have friendly members, and everyone is on the same journey. So it makes it easier to resonate between them. And then we have the community events, which builds those relationships, so that the gym is a nice environment to be. If you flip that on its head, and what I hear so many people suffering through is they're in the wrong environment and they think they hate the gym, but they don't. They hated the environment they were in. So many people join your Pure gyms, your The Gyms, your JDs, and even to extent Nuffield and David Lloyd's. They are just the same business model, but they're a fancier, pricier version of it. And that is, you go into the gym, you have no support, you have no accountability, you have no community aspect of it, you're just given access to the gym environment. And that is not enough for 99% of the population. Yes, it works for some people, but it leaves so many people hanging dry. And that is why we have built this coaching model. So you have that environment, you have the support, you have the network around you, you have the accountability and the community to hold you to a higher standard and actually enable you to come to the gym consistently enough for long enough to see the result that you're looking for. And I just thought that was quite a nice wee tie-in of what we were trying to do, because I'm, as I say, committing to this 30-day action plan, which I spoke about last week or maybe the week before. And I just want to have the best chances, increasing the probability that I'm going to stick to it and get the most amount of work done. And a lot of that stems from the environment. So we're making this a nice environment so that I can feel comfortable and enjoy coming into this room. And more importantly, or not more importantly, but just as importantly, I can record these videos not for just YouTube, but for Instagram as well. And not have to faff about and go out onto the gym floor, make sure nobody's there, turn off the speakers, set everything up. I'm just good to go and essentially remove any barriers that I was creating in my own head because I wanted everything to look perfect. If this room is nice and the tripod's set up and it's good to go, I can just record and not worry about having to set it up elsewhere. Okay, and I've really rambled on here, and the last bit we're going to talk about is just fat loss. What I've actually got written down on my notes here, it's going to take me a wee bit longer, so I'm going to do that on next week's episode, and that is talking about the GLP-1 drugs, or your Mounjaro or your Ozempic. I'm going to talk about what we are seeing in the gym, my experience with our clients who are on it, but I'm going to keep that to next week because it's a wee bit of a rabbit hole. Well, not a rabbit hole, there's quite a lot to cover there, but what I'm going to talk about, what I was going to do next week, and that is the 3 things that I would focus on right now if I wanted to lose 10 pounds in the next 30 days. Okay, so number 1 is your sleep. If you're not sleeping, you're essentially cutting your chances, you're cutting yourself off at the knees to try and lose fat, because when you're overtired, your body's stress hormone spikes, your hunger hormone spikes, your energy is low, and when you've got that, you've got a perfect storm of no progress. So I always say you can kind of like sleep yourself to fat loss, because when you're sleeping well, flip all of them on their head. Your hunger hormone's dropped, your stress hormone's dropped, which doesn't inhibit your fat loss, and you have more energy. And when you've got more energy, you're more likely to eat the better food, you're more likely to make it to the gym, you're more likely to work on the habits that you want to work on, and it just kind of all feeds into each other. So number 1 priority, 8 hours of good quality sleep every night. So that is setting yourself a bedtime, the same wake up time, and go to sleep time every single night. You have a wind down system, off your phone an hour before bed, read a book instead, limit caffeine to the morning, and these things just all tie in so you can have that high quality sleep. So that's number 1. Number 2, high protein diet. And you'll hear us harping on about this time and time again, but it's so important when it comes to fat loss. It satiates you, so it keeps you fuller for longer. It helps muscle sparing, so that when you're losing the weight, you're taking it from your fat stores and not 50-50 of fat and muscle. And it's harder to break down, so your body breaks down more of it. And yeah, satiated, keeps your muscle, it's harder to break down. That is the main things. When your hunger levels are lower and when you're losing from your fat, it means your body composition is improving rather than you just getting smaller and lighter. And then number 3 is staying active. Okay, setting that baseline level of steps. Just set yourself a target, and every week for the next 4 weeks, try and add 500 to your average. If you're currently doing 5k steps a day and you bump that up to 7k on week 1, and then 7.5k in week 2, 8k in week 3, 8.5k on week 4, and you're tying that in with your sleep improvement, your high protein diet, your step count, and then sprinkle in a wee bit of weight training, 2 to 3 sessions of weight training per week, you will 100% be able to lose upwards of 10 pounds in the next 4 weeks. It really is that simple. The hard bit is staying accountable, and that is why we have the support and the accountability to get you back on track when life gets difficult. So if that's you and you need that extra help, please reach out. We'd be more than happy to help you. If you've not heard me say it, my personal declaration is to get more than 20 people started in Q3 this year, so July, August, September, kick-started on their fat loss journey, on their fitness journey. And we've already had, well, as of last week, about 10 days ago, we've already had 5 people sign up. Who knows where we are right now when this goes live. Okay, and that is us rounded off for today, and I'll speak to you soon.